fellow Renegades. Welcome back to another Renegade Society radio show. I am your host, Amanda McKnight, and today we have a very special guest that I'm super excited to talk to. But before we get to that, I got a couple updates for you. So first things first, Snallygaster Situation is now available for pre-order. If you have not checked out this game yet, what are you doing? You got to check it out. It's super fun. It looks amazing, and it is every game that you play is very different, which is something that I really love about it. Lots of replayability with this one, friends. We also have our updated World's Fair 1893, now including diverse and playable influential characters from history, available as an Amazon exclusive. Yay! So go check that out. Super exciting. And we also have Gravwell 2nd Edition, which is now available for pre-order. And if you're thinking, oh, but I already have Gravwell, well, wait a minute. Hold up now, because we got some new art for you. We have an expanded player count, and we have some really awesome unique powers that kind of go with the ships, which is amazing. So you definitely need to check that out as well. And we are also going to be doing a giveaway today for a copy of Gloomy Graves. And this game actually is like one of those little games that every time I play it, I'm like, oh, I need to play that again right after. It's really fun. So you are going to want that code word, but I'll be giving it to you later in the show. And of course, Desiree will be providing the links for you to enter the giveaway word. Dun, dun, dun. All right, friends. So my guest today is Becca Scott. Becca, welcome to the show.
Amanda, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming and chilling with us.
I'm a Renegade game fan freak, so just happy to hang out on the channel.
I love that. That's awesome. And I feel you. I'm also a Renegade game freak. So yes.
Yeah, you guys just put out too much good stuff. Too much.
100%. I can't argue with that. Also, friends, if you have any questions for Becca as we're going through, feel free to put those in the chat. We'll be getting to them later. And Becca, could you tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, all of the things that you do, where we can find both you and your work online?
Absolutely. So I'm a host, and I do board game tutorial videos like you do, Amanda, and you can find them on YouTube at Good Times Society. That's a channel that I run with some amazing folks, mostly my business partner, Jake Michaels. Good dude. We do a Star Trek rewatch podcast for the next generation, which is very fun. I have been in LA doing all kinds of like nerdy content for a while now. And let's see, I have done stuff with Games Workshop, their tutorials, stuff with Renegade, got to go to Gen Con with you guys, which was really, really fun. And I also have been, had the great pleasure of being involved with Magic the Gathering, which after that started, it's become one of my biggest obsessions. I got to do be on the coverage team for some of their pro tournaments, their Mythic Championships. And what else do I do? That's it. I'm an actor. I do acting, but mostly nerd stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're also an actor as well, I've seen. So you do everything. There's so many things. Yeah, I don't know. When do you sleep? I think that's the question. You know what I mean?
I mean, those 8.5 hours are necessary to work the other 15 and a half.
Yeah, I feel that.
That was really bad math. I don't know. It was close.
That's equals 24. Don't check the math, friends. It's just trust us. That's awesome. So yeah, you do so many things. And like when I was even trying to put together like sort of the questions that I wanted to ask, I was like, I don't even know, because like I could do an interview, I feel like, with you for everything that you do, because you do so many things, but you like don't just do them surface level either. You really dive into those. So it was challenging, but we're going to start with the acting. And we're going to kind of go from there into other awesome nerd territory. So I know that you're a performer. I just actually watched your demo reel the other day, which was amazing,
just made that and had the same experience of like, wow, I do too much stuff. Do I do any of it that well or dig that deep? So thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. But I thought your demo reel was awesome. And I thought it was a very good highlight of just like all the amazing things that you do. But I was wondering, when it comes to acting, what was like one of your favorite acting gigs that you do? Because I don't know if you get this, but me personally, when I'm a host, people know me as a host first a lot of times. So like don't know that I'm an actor, and then they find out and they're like, oh, what? And it's like, that's where I started getting into this field. So I'm sure it's probably been a bit of a similar path for you. And I was wondering, yeah, like sort of when did that start and what's been your favorite thing that you've done?
Thank you for the question. Actually, when you said that, it reminded me of one time when I did some assistant directing before I got into nerdy hosting stuff.
Cool.
And then one time a friend was like, "Hey, I saw you have a reel online. I only knew you were an assistant director. Do you want to be in my sketch?" And I was like, "No, people are thinking of me the wrong way. I need to reorient this. I'm not an assistant director." And now I'm not an assistant director. But for a while, that was kind of my trajectory. But you asked my favorite thing that I've acted in, and I've gotten to do some really fun dramatic short films. I did improv in LA because when you get here, you're like, what do I do? What do I do? There's Groundlings and there's Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, and you pick one. And UCB was mine, and came up through that world. So like performing live on stage there was awesome. And I was thinking about, well, what's my favorite thing? And honestly, like I got to do some cool stuff that I threw in my reel, but really my favorite acting experiences have been either plays or like performing a scene in acting class. Because honestly, as most people on
Yes.
camera can probably attest to, I don't like watching myself. I mean, I'm sure the narcissists are out there, but like it's hard. You have to like get over the cringe factor. And so
Yeah.
the part of acting that I think is fun is having someone tell me later that they enjoyed my performance and that it affected them. And so I'm just thinking of some specific scenes from acting class that I got to do, and like one epic play. It was a 2-person play that was like an hour and a half long that I did my last year before I moved to LA, like the winter before I moved to LA from Kansas City. And that play, I still have the poster in my hallway, and I look at it every day and I'm like, that was awesome. That was acting.
That's awesome. What play was it?
It's called Beirut,
Okay.
and it was performed with me and the other actor entirely in our underwear, but with good reason related to the story. It was written in the 80s after the AIDS epidemic,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was just written, God, so relevant in the time of COVID, but written when like there was like a very hierarchical, segmented society of like people put in quarantine.
Yeah.
Oh God, too relevant.
Wow. Yeah.
And I had to break into like the quarantine area, which was the Lower East Side of New York, which is now very bougie, but as
Hilariously.
everywhere in New York is. But
Yes.
I had to like break into that part to find him and be with him and like tell him why I was willing to get whatever he had because I loved him. And it was just like this very dramatic story of him being like, "No, you got to get out of here." And it was such a just immersive experience. It was like I
Yeah.
felt like a real actor for the first time, and I was 22.
Yeah. I love those moments though. And I also feel like when you're in an acting class and you're doing that stuff, the other thing that's really freeing is like you can kind of just be free to like the stakes are your own. Not that there isn't any stakes, but the stakes are yours. So it's not like, oh, like if I go into this audition and I don't like slam dunk, like I'm going to miss out on this commercial money, which like maybe I need to pay my rent or whatever I'm doing. So yeah, I feel you 100% with that. And I personally, I don't have the same thing with being on camera, but I think that's just because I was in a program where it was for acting for film and television. So I looked at myself on camera every day for like 2 years plus. And yeah, and I hated looking at myself at the beginning. And now at the
See?
end, like, yeah, now at the end though, I don't like, well, I like auditions, but I prefer self-taping because I'm that actor that like, I love watching myself and being like, oh, I can see, like, I'm going to adjust this little thing. And I love those moments. It's probably the director in me as well, but yeah.
No, I get that. The perfectionism of like, okay,
Yes.
but now I'm in control.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
I
being
get
in
that part
control.
too.
Mm-hmm. But that's really cool. And I didn't know you were an assistant director. That is a cool thing that like you sort of were doing, and then you were like, oh, I gotta like focus on this one thing. But also I hope you get to also, I mean, you also create content though. So do you get to play any role in sort of the direction that takes or the writing, or how does that play into it?
I do all the things.
Yeah.
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 My work as a producer and assistant directing is a very unique thing, and I only did it for some smaller commercials. But like I did some like pet food commercials and stuff like that. So it's a uniquely, it's like being just the bossy one on set. You just
Yeah.
get to tell everyone, here's how we stay in line. We're going to get this thing done on time because I say so. And that just fits with my personality. So I did enjoy it. But it's not the most creative or prestigious position on set. It's like,
Yeah.
honestly, the one really doing the most work with the least credit on set, probably.
Yeah.
But in terms of content creation now, yeah, the stuff we do for Good Time Society, I have a big hand in overseeing all of it, and which is so wonderful to like be in a position where everybody has to listen to me, but also a lot of pressure. So it is really nice when I can be like, that's your job.
You're going to do that now. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that. But it's kind of cool that you get to almost blend a little bit of both of those things that you enjoy doing, because it is weird, I think, when you're working in film and television is specifically, because I feel like in theater performance there is a lot more fluidity. Like you could do props and then like be the star in a show, and like no one's going to bat an eye at you. But in film and television, at least here in Canada, I find you tend to get put in one thing, and then that's what you do. So if you want to do something else, people are like, huh, what?
Yeah,
You're that one thing.
especially because it's a very unionized industry.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so many hours to join the union as a specific department. And
Uh-huh.
so if you want to change, you got to do your hours again. And that's no joke.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's almost like you have to, people are just even going to see you as that thing. So it's like, even if I'm like, oh, I want to do this and this, whatever I'm doing at the time, that's what I am to people. So that's like the piece that you fill. So yeah, it must be nice to be able to wear a couple hats and
Yeah.
be free to
Yeah.
do that.
I mean, there's two sides to the coin. There's always the, okay, I need to pick one thing so I can be the best at that one thing, but that doesn't suit everyone's personality. And
Yeah.
I have learned, what I find fun is to know everything. And I don't have to be the best at any of it, but I just want to know how to edit. I want to know what's it like to write a script and get that movie made. I want to know like
Yeah.
a little bit of everything. I think because maybe it's a little of like hyperactivity, ADHD going on, but I feel so joyful that we live in this time where we can just make stuff and put it on the internet. People can watch or not watch, but somebody's going to find interest in that. And I'm going to have fun getting to try everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's hyperactivity combined with like creativity on like the 150th level. You know what I mean? It's like, that's, I think, where a lot of it comes from, because I feel that. And you do a lot of different things as well. So like this is the other thing. Like, I just feel like there's no area of nerddom, geekdom that like you also don't like live in. And so I also know like a lot of your RPG content, and you also stream, like, weren't you just streaming two things the other night? You were streaming Call of Cthulhu and what was the other one that you were doing?
More Call of Cthulhu.
More Call of Cthulhu. Okay, there you go.
Well, I was lucky that one of them was pre-taped and
Oh,
it
okay.
fed right into my stream where I was also playing Call of Cthulhu. So it worked out very well.
That's so awesome. I love
Yeah,
Call of Cthulhu, by the way. That's a great RPG.
I mean, I discovered it last year and I bought the Keeper rulebook and I read it cover to cover and I said, this is going to be the game that I GM. And I'm still, learning how to be a better GM. I mean, that process never ends, I imagine, for most GMs. But Call of Cthulhu, I find particularly appealing because you're just a human. You're fallible and you're squishy, and people are going to try and kill you when you're playing. Me, as a keeper, I have a very hard time killing my players, but I'm working on it.
It's scary to kill players. You're like, I don't want to, I like you guys. I want you to have fun. And I think there's always that fear. I've never GM'd, but this is a huge fear of mine just at the idea of GMing, is the idea that like something's going to happen to someone that's bad and then they're not going to have a good experience. And then I'm be like, oh no, I ruined someone's game. I ruined someone's life. Like, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, my pleasure comes from watching them enjoy the game I'm giving them. And if I kill them, I don't know. There was this thing. So today's Friday. 2 days ago was the streamer talking about, and I was supposed to kill Trisha Hirschberger. She just like leaned into a Shoggoth, and her spell didn't work. And the Shoggoth was casting the same spell at the same time, and his did. And like I just paused, and I was like, the dice say, I don't know, take 9 points damage. Really, she took like 15 points damage, which I knew was way more than her HP.
Yeah.
But I just was like, you're unconscious.
Yeah, you're like close, but you're hanging on.
Like, you know what? We talked about it later, and she would have loved to have died. It was near the end of the stream, and it was a 2-shot. So I need to get over this fear of ruining someone's good time by killing them, because I know when I've died in a game, I love it.
Yeah, that's true. When you die at the right moment, it just actually makes your death like more powerful. It makes the story more powerful, right?
Yeah.
If unless
for
it's
everyone of like, oh my God, remember Becca had that epic death. Yeah, I did. I got murdered.
Especially when it's one of those things that like brings other players closer together. Like I love when like someone in a party dies and then like everyone's just like bonding over the death of their like other friend, and you're just like, whoa, I'm gone, but like I'll be back as a new character, and like I just created this beautiful moment. Look at that.
And somebody gives like an epic eulogy of like, we'll do it for them.
Yeah.
Amanda.
I love that. So when it comes to RPGs, and perhaps ones that you've had really awesome epic deaths in, is there a favorite RPG that you like to play, and why do you find yourself like constantly attracted to it?
That's got to be Call of Cthulhu for the reasons stated. Honestly, I think that my love for Call of Cthulhu, it has spread to other RPGs, and now I'm like, okay, I think I can understand how this mechanic is similar enough to Call of Cthulhu that I would enjoy it.
I love that.
You know, being an OP character in a dungeon crawl is not particularly appealing to me. I like the challenge of it, and I like the storytelling challenge of it, and particularly like mystery themed things are very, very fun for me. So yeah, that's it's got to be COC. Although, you know, shout out to a Renegade product. I had a lot of fun. We did Kids on Bikes run. We did a Geek and Sundry a couple years ago. We did like a pretty long session that we kept coming back to, Kids on Bikes, and I do like that simplicity of that system.
Kids on Bikes is really fun, and I feel like the simplicity in that system, from what I've seen, just watching other people play, like kind of gives you this really fun sense of freedom, which is really cool. Although Call of Cthulhu has this great thing where like the thing I love about it is that you already know, like you're already doomed. Like, so you kind of just get to accept that. And then it also gives you this freedom to just play, because you're like, well, we're already probably all dead, so let's find out what happened. How did this happen? And it's like solving the mystery.
My guns and I walk through the wall of mist. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, let's go for it. And it's that like solving the mystery of your own death, like, which I find strangely that is going to help me. That's going to help me kill people. Let them solve the mystery of their own death. Let them solve the mystery of their own death. And and I just love too when players are also like gripping on to like trying to live, but it's just like you're looking death in the face. You're like, I know I'm gonna die, but like I gotta live. That struggle, I feel like in art, is always so cool to explore in any form. So
yeah, it gives it stakes and a desperation that it wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah, that's what makes Call of Cthulhu so dramatic, I think. Yeah. And when it comes to tabletop games as well, because like you do RPGs, you do tabletop games, you play video games as well too, don't you? Yeah. So why are you drawn when it comes to the things at the table? Why do you find yourself personally drawn to those types of games? And what do you think draws like other people to them, just considering that you've played so many and with so many different people?
Yeah. Well, single player video games are kind of like a different thing. That's just maybe addiction and hobby. But as far as the hobby at the table it's a fun way to interact with other people. I mean, it kind of makes me think, well, what defines a nerd and what makes us nerdy? And some might say our social awkwardness. I disagree, although, there is that. But I think it is this need to, like, we find a lot of fulfillment in not necessarily showing off our intelligence, but getting to use our brains together in a collaborative way of like, I really want to exercise my brain for fun, which is not for everyone. And I think that's what makes a nerd. And I think tabletop games, RPGs, board games, card games, it allows us to get to just like use our brains in a different problem solving way together that makes us feel more bonded to our friends or to strangers that we're playing with. And so what's not cool about that?
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel that. And I think that idea too, I think you hit it on the head of like kind of that, like a little bit of a humble brag, but also just like an exploration of like your own mind and then other people's minds at a table. It's also a really good way if you are socially awkward to kind of like meet people on a level where you can do that, but it's like, okay, it's not like weird to be like, oh, what would you do in this room where like there's a puzzle and there's like a glass of water on the other end and what do you do? It's like you can't just ask someone that question in real life, but in an RPG you can be like, hey, let's explore weird stuff.
Yeah, like you want to be somebody's friend, but when you're a grown up, it's weird to be like, can we play?
Yeah.
But you can if you play board games. Hey,
yeah,
we're gonna have this. Maybe we're not good at making conversation because we don't know each other that well yet, but like we can make conversation around this board game and then we can be friends.
Yeah. And around, I think like fandoms that you like too, right? It is like weird, like this is as adults how we find people that we think are cool.
Yeah, it's so true.
Mm-hmm. So we are heading towards about the halfway point. So I'm going to give that code word to everybody. So my code word for today is versatile because Becca Scott is such a versatile, lovely human. So if you all want to put that word into the link that Desiree gives you, you can enter to win a copy of Gloomy Graves. Yes. And also a reminder, if you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll be getting to them in a bit. So yes. Oh man. I'm just thinking about Gloomy Graves now. Just thinking about my copy of it, and I'm like, I should play that after.
I don't have a copy yet. I haven't played. Tell me more.
Oh man, it's really fun. It's actually, it's like you have all these different sort of types of, I think they're monsters or graves, and it's sort of like a bit of a tile laying card game. I can see Desiree nodding, so I know I'm on the right track. But yeah, you're basically like laying these tiles, and then based on how tiles, they're cards, but they look like tiles. And as you lay them, there's certain rules for how you can lay them, and it's basically like you score all these points. It's very puzzly to me. So if you like things that are like puzzles and you like strategy, this is definitely a game I would recommend. You just need to make sure you have enough room at your table to play. That's the only thing.
It kind of looks like a macabre version of Lotus. Oh no, that was just someone doing very creative photography.
Very creative things. But it does kind of have that feeling, actually. It does kind of have a macabre Lotus feeling, except that I think you're building all on one board.
Ooh,
you build like on a board.
Gun kimono.
So yeah, you have a board in the center and a board in front of you.
Yeah, that's so you're building like you're digging graves. You're a grave digger. So you have like the sort of community one, and then you have your own one. So
and the community one affects your own score for your own grave. That is the other thing that always trips me up. I love games like that when you're like, oh man, I'm gonna put this here, and now things are good for me, and someone else just comes and messes up everything, and you're like, now my grave is worth nothing. Cool.
Oh, what a dark sentiment.
Right?
Yeah, but that kind of got you game. Now you have to start over. Without the challenge, there would be no game.
Exactly. And I love that challenge. And I love, regardless of whether or not I do well or don't do well in games like that, I'm always like, ooh, okay, I feel like I learned something today and like I can use this to make myself better. Or when other people do bad and then there's like, I just totally tanked. Like, I'm like, ooh, but like see this part and see this thing and how it works. And like, oh, I'm going to keep that in mind next time.
I'm the person that, I don't know if this is like a good etiquette or not, but I like to give other people, if I see they're like making bad moves, like, what if you have that move open to you? Because if they didn't have fun and I win by too many points, That's
Yeah.
never a fun feeling of like, oh, I don't think I
No.
want to play that game again. No, yes, you do.
Yeah, because you're like, I just want to play more with you, so please don't be sad.
Yeah.
No, I definitely do that. Well, especially if someone's, I don't think it's bad etiquette, especially if someone's learning a game with you. Like, there are many times I've taught people games and they're like, oh, and I can tell it's because like I probably like messed up the way I explained something or it wasn't clear enough.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll usually be like, you understand this, right? So like you understand if you do this, this is what happens. And then if they're like, oh, I'm like, if you want to take it back, you can, but if you want to leave it, whatever.
That's a sign of a good board game teacher.
Yeah, I think and that's what we do, right? You just want to make sure everyone has fun. So I think as long as it's, they haven't played 20 times, I don't think it's bad etiquette at all, personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you kind of have to know if you have played 20 times. You have to know the player.
Yeah. If you have played 20 times and you're making bad plays, I'm gonna be like, all right, well, we'll see what happens, I guess. Maybe you know something I don't know. Yeah. Actually, I love when people make a bad play and I'm like, oh, that was bad. And then I learned that I was wrong about it being bad. That's my favorite thing in a game.
Because they saw something that you didn't see.
Yeah. And then they like come back and destroy you and you're like, oh, oops.
I love that.
So speaking of other games where you can come back and destroy people, actually, this is a good segue. At least when I've played it. How did you become a host for Magic Esports? Because I've also seen that, and that is so cool.
Absolutely. The coolest thing I've ever gotten to do is all been Magic stuff.
So cool.
I think, well, like most things in my nerd career, I have to give credit to Geek and Sundry because I think that there was where the kind of like creative video director of Magic or Wizards of the Coast actually found me and hit me up and was like, learn how to play Magic if you don't already know. And it was very esoteric. They sent a box of Magic cards to my manager at the time. And I was like, this was 2017, I think. And of course I'm aware of Magic, but I kind of thought, that's too many years of history. And I don't know if I'm ready to like dive deep. I've never dived deep into it before because there's just like people who are good at Magic are so good at Magic. Yeah. How can I dip my toe in everything and also be really good at this very specific thing? But they sent a box of cards. And so I was like, all right, I got to call up my friends that know how to play Magic. And I called Jordan Pridgeon and Bob McCauley and I had them come to my house and I said, teach me Magic. And each of them taught me completely different facets of Magic because what I love about it so much is that there's so many formats and so many ways to play. And of course, Commander is the most popular just casually, which is like 99 cards, singleton format. You just play with your friends. You can play multiplayer, usually like 6 or 7 people's max, but you can play however you want and you can play with any cards that you want. But when I first booked the gig after, we did some videos with Geek and Sundry about how to play Magic like for a beginner. And so that was really good because I was at that stage in learning Magic when we filmed those videos. And then I got booked by them to do on stage interviews that were like 1 minute, but just ask a couple questions after someone had won a match in a really big tournament that they were really starting to go all out with the launch of Arena, the digital platform. There was already Magic Online, but it's not as flashy, not as pretty.
Yeah.
So I went to PAX East in Boston and I was watching this pro level play. And I knew nothing about like card archetypes or like what cards were in the standard metagame at that time or like anything except for the basic rules of Magic. Oh, there's my dog. And I just learned on the fly, but that experience made me a huge fan of high level play. And I've been watching every tournament ever since and like watch casual Magic streams all the time. It's like the one thing that aside from like friends, if they're doing a Twitch stream, I'll pop in, but mostly I just watch Magic Twitch because I got bit by the bug of being addicted. And that's why I just talked for a really long time without stopping is because I'm now very addicted to Magic.
No, that is totally fine. And I totally get that. Like I used to play Magic. I have not played Magic in a long time, but Arena is actually the thing that everyone's like, oh, you got to get back in. This is amazing. And like, you're going to love it. And I'm like, look, I got some game addictions on my phone. I'm a little nervous, but it is something I've wanted to check out because I've never even played with the Commander deck because I played what year is it now? 2021. Yeah, I played a long time ago, like over probably 10 years ago. I used to play kind of regularly, like semi-regularly. And so I can't even imagine. It's so brave of you to just be like, Magic, sure, we'll figure it out. Because it is a lot of stuff. It's intimidating.
Well, you should definitely download Arena because they just give you some starter decks. You just click on it and you just go, and it's very self-explanatory, and you will quickly get addicted. And you can draft on there, which is really fun. And then last year they'd put in drafting with other players because it was just robot draft. And the human draft is awesome. But oh shoot, you said something. Just diving in. I think that I was definitely afraid. And anytime I start something new, I'm afraid. Like GMing Call of Cthulhu, I was the last thing that I just like dove into head first. But you can never get good at a thing unless you do 10,000 hours of a thing. So you start your 10,000 hours now, because what if you love it? You're gonna be so mad you didn't start earlier. So even if you're scared, dive in head first.
Wow, that's some wisdom there. Yeah, I feel that. And I mean, I think also too, it is true, the things that usually scare you the most tend to be some of the most valuable things that you learn in life for some reason. I don't know what that is, but usually if it's scary, it means it's worth it. It means that there's stakes for you, so you should try it.
Exactly.
But the other thing I was going to ask you about Magic is, do you have a favorite deck build that you like to play?
So right now I've been playing just a lot of mono white, which often is called like a white weenies deck because white is a color that usually has a lot of creatures. It's without viewers knowing too much, there's like aggressive formats and more controlling formats. And there's like, you go in hard, you have a bunch of little creatures that are fast and cheap, and you just do damage till your opponent is dead. And a more controlling strategy is slow and like controlling and like, no, let me kill your creature and remove that and like control this and take something out of your hand and make you discard. I am an aggressive player for sure, but that's just because that's my personality style. And so again, jumping into what's more difficult, I do like to practice with control decks because it's a much bigger challenge for me. That's not naturally how my mind works. I'm not one to hold back. I'm definitely an impulsive person. So that's why I enjoy
all these
aggressive
creatures.
decks.
Go
Right now, mono white.
Yeah, mono white. I like that. I like the white decks though. I feel like last time I used to play, I was playing like a white red. It was like one of my favorite combos, which is kind of weird, but here we are. I feel like actually
with your color scheme.
It does, doesn't it? My very white skin, my very red hair. I like it. Yes.
Okay, so well, if you do get Arena, I know a deck that doesn't require too many expensive cards. It's like mostly commons and uncommons, and it's the Boros cycling deck that you're gonna love. All it does is you just cycle all your cards, and then you look for a card in your deck called Zenith Flare, and when you play it, it deals damage to either your opponent or a creature that is how many cycling cards are in your graveyard. So you just find two of those and you win.
Boom, that's great. Would you say that was called Boros cycling? All right, I'll have to check that out when I get Arena, because obviously now I have to get it after this interview.
Well, it's mostly commons and uncommons, which is why it's a very cool deck. And it's ever since the cycling set came out last year, I forget which set it came out with, but that has been a popular deck ever since, and I still see them. And normally things come and go through like what's popular in standard format, and that one stuck around. And it's also a lot of very cheap cards.
So there you go. It's here to stay. Boros cycling. You heard it here first, friends. So and then when it comes to so you do so many things. I'm going to keep coming back to this because it's true, and all my questions are basically like all over the place because of this. So when it comes to sort of like hosting, performing, streaming, all of the different things that you do. Is there anything that you like to do to prepare sort of before you like get in front of the camera for any of these things? And do you have like different things you do to prepare for different things?
I think I like to, know what information I need to know, of course, do research and everything, but
Yeah.
my like New Year's resolution, kind of very informally, but it's just the thing I've been trying this year is meditation. And I've just been really interested in like listening to, old guru from the 70s, Alan Watts, and listening to podcasts on meditation. And I do feel less anxiety, like significantly less anxiety than I did.
Yeah.
I mean, last year was anxious, full of anxiety for everybody. And this year is too, but I think that we're all in this quest to find new ways to deal with it, because we see the light at the end of the tunnel, but like we're still in a freaking tunnel and we need to deal with that. And so just like as a person with a million-mile long to-do list all the time, and I'm always making to-do lists in my head, teaching myself it's okay to erase the mental list for even just 10 minutes has been really helpful. And then like for dealing with nerves, like even before talking to you, I get nervous about everything. Anytime I'm going to see a person or talk to a person, do anything that's not just my dog, I get a little nervous. And so I need to take deep breaths, and I need to like not look at the screen for a second, close my eyes. I like to go sit outside. I have a little backyard area, which is awesome to have outdoor space. If you have it, use it. And just remember that like nothing matters, and we're all specks of dust on this planet, and we're all going to die someday. So like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, that's
in a positive way.
In a positive way. Yeah. No, I feel you. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We've recovered. Sorry about that. We made the internet nervous by talking about nerves. Yep. Sorry about that, internet.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever had a performance where you go out and you like black out. But yeah, have you had one of those?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that, and then maybe it's a state of flow, but I think, I think that when you go on autopilot, then you're not really, I don't know. Do you think it's good or bad to get that? Because sometimes you're like, well, I need to be able to assess my performance so I can improve and know like if I achieved what I was hoping to achieve. But at the same time, it's like, you got it. Just do the thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be just almost like you've prepared so much that you can kind of check out, because it's like you just trusting yourself to go. So sometimes it can be good. And sometimes when your nerves just take over you and you're just going through the motions, obviously it's not good, because I think for any performance that you do, whether you're like acting or hosting or whatever, you want to be present so that you can, see things as they come and react to them, because usually people like when they see people that seem like real people and not like robots, I guess. So
yeah.
I guess
autopilot
it depends.
Robots less entertaining than fallible humans.
Yes, 100%. So I guess overall, I would say it's probably bad, but I'm sure there are elements when it's just like, thank goodness my nerves hijacked my whole body for a minute there, because I needed to not be in my body.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Can relate.
Yes. And when it comes to like all the different platforms as well that you're going across and all the projects that you're doing and that sort of long to-do list that you, I'm sure, constantly have and are constantly reworking, how do you sort of balance everything? Like aside from taking that time to meditate and like ground, like how do you stay organized? And is there any other ways that you find center and relax other than meditation?
When you check out, like give yourself a checkout time where you don't have to feel responsible mentally for the things that you're going to get to when you're in work mode, and like segment your time in that way so that you're not constantly stressing about the things that you need to do. Turn off the brain, but that's, similar to meditating. As far as organization, I'm realizing that, delegation is my best friend, and I can't do everything myself, and I should hire people or ask people to do those things. And then they're off my plate and they're on somebody else's plate. But also just, what is the next thing? Don't look at the whole list. What are the immediate things that must get done? And everything else can wait until it's the thing that must get done. So just give yourself, 3 to 5 things on your list a day, because if you just keep rewriting everything, then it's going to look like everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets like intimidating that way. That is good. Oh my goodness. Checking out is such a challenging thing to do. I feel like when you get busy.
And when there's no out of the office anymore for people who work from home.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's like it is that weird sort of thing right now. I want to say dichotomy, but I don't know if that's the right word. Where your like play space becomes your workspace, becomes your rest space. It all becomes one ball. And especially if you live, like, to anyone that's watching this right now, especially if you're living in a place that, you don't have a lot of space, it's weird. It's like, and the weird thing too is how much I missed commuting, which was the thing I never thought I would miss. But it's like that gap in your day where you're like, oh, this is just like space where I'm moving. I'm not doing anything here. I'm just get to exist for a bit of time. And
I never thought all new scenery.
Yeah. And just leaving your house for a reason, I think, is nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, I kind of forget what shoes are for.
Yeah.
Like, oh my went to my mom's fancy retirement ceremony earlier, and I was like, bottom down. Do I care about how it looks? Nope. Slippers and shorts under that are very visible.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that is so true. Also, just like, looking, just even like how you look in general and like putting everything together. You're like, well, I literally need to like look put together from like my waist up. So
honestly, that's been a huge blessing about stay at home for me, because it does take such brain power. I mean, I always thought about the time I heard that Obama had someone whose job it was to lay out a suit every morning, because that's wasted brain energy that he just like couldn't think about. And so the one blessing is that I stopped caring about wearing the same shirt 3 times in 1 week, which I often do. Like, this is my week pile of clothes that I'm drawing from. So that's been like a real, and most men, especially cis men, have been doing this, like have a uniform, get that figured out from the time they finish high school. But I think for women, just society puts more pressure on us to care more about fashion. And so we want to look good. And so it's been nice to relax on that front.
100%. And also like fashion, like I kind of get it, because fashion is fun as well. So like I love playing with my outfits and like playing with the sort of look and what do I want to do, but it is exhausting. It's like a lot of people don't think how much work it is to like just put an outfit together and like be like, I'm gonna go for this vibe today. It's a lot of mental energy. I think Steve Jobs also had a thing where like he just had a bunch of the same outfits that he would wear in his closet. Basically, because he was just like it. I don't know if this is true, so people in chat can tell me if I'm getting this fact wrong. But I believe he said something basically. It is like a genius thing. It's like if you're a genius, you don't want to waste the time on that. So you're just going to be like, I'm going to go with this look. I like it. Boom, done.
Which is our situation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. And so I have one more question for you. And this is sort of about just like all of your board game experience, of which you have had much. So I wanted to know, because I also know you've reviewed a lot of games. And to kind of talk about that, I wanted to know, what do you think makes a board game great or successful and great? And what do you look for when you are personally like picking up a new game or like pledging towards like a new like Kickstarter project to like get something? What like pulls you in?
This is a hard question, because I think that so many things can make a game successful, because it's a matter of taste. You know, games are subjective. That's why there's so many categories of games. Like me, I love player versus player. I love area control, deck builders. But some people hate that kind of stuff, and they want to play party games, or they want to play cooperative games because they don't like the feeling of being competitive with their friends, or that feeling of like somebody definitively winning in a way that they feel like makes other people feel bad, which is all totally valid. But for me, art style is super important. I really like a bold lines, clean, like bold colors, clean lines kind of art style. I like a very specific thing is if it's a point salad game where like at the end everybody's counting up their points. I think a good game has everybody within a couple points of each other at the end. If someone can run away with it, then it feels unbalanced. Maybe they drew the one card that's always going to run away with the game because they have some other engine in it. So, really play testing to make it balanced. Not to talk about another studio, but like Ivy Studio is the company that they have 2 games. They made Moonrakers and then they made Veiled Fate. And I love both those games, but Moonrakers in particular, it was their first game. They're like an animation and digital design studio that they just are gamers. And they were like, we're going to make a game. And if we're going to make a game, we're going to use all of the data we can possibly accumulate. And they had like so many numbers that they explained to me the ways that they had created spreadsheets to talk about all the possibilities of balance with each card that they added and subtracted to the game. And that's why I'm intimidated to make a game myself, because I think like, well, if I made a game, I want it to be that level of specificity of making sure that like everybody enjoys and has an equal opportunity to get to the juicy strategy of it. So those are things that I personally love about games, but every game has an audience. It's just about finding that audience. And Kickstarters are their own beast of like marketing, which is unrelated to whether or not it's a great game.
Yeah, so true.
Sometimes they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, anyways. It's so sad when a game has like the best marketing ever, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, this is like a little disappointing. I thought it was going to be something else, but okay. But that does happen.
Good for them of their successful Kickstarter and keep the industry going.
Yeah, sometimes that's how it goes, and there's some really good marketing people out there, so that's how it goes sometimes.
It's true. Watch out for those marketing sharks.
Watch out. But I love that. I love what you said too about like the math. Like that is the thing that always intimidates me about game design, or just kind of thinking about like any strategy game. I'm always like, oh my gosh, there's so much math in there. And when I see people's like spreadsheets, like designer friends that I have, and they're like working on things, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm like looking at this number here. I'm like, oh, that looks so like, it's very intimidating, but this is fun. So I think you're doing good with that spreadsheet.
Yeah. That's why I trust you to handle this.
Yes. But I think that's also the thing. Like, if you ever wanted to design a game, like so many of my friends have said, like, if you have the creativity for it, it's like, just find someone that, is the math magic person, and they will help you. And then you can work together and like come up with it together. So I still have hope for you. I'm sure you could design a game. You just need to find the right partner.
Anything you want to do, it's all about finding the right partners for sure.
100%. Cool. Well, that is all the questions from me. So I'm going to open it up to the chat and see what they have to ask.
Yes. So we do have a few questions here. So let's see. First question: are vacuum formed box inserts good or evil?
Vacuum formed?
Vacuum formed.
Yeah.
I don't know what a vacuum formed box insert is.
I don't know.
Would it be like just the plastic form?
The plasticky ones?
I think so.
Plastic box inserts, I believe.
Got it. So huge fan of everything having a place to go and everything in its place in general, but also very much trying to cut all the plastic out of my life that I possibly can, that I'm going to be throwing away. Like, in my grocery purchases and stuff like that, I always look for the least packaging and least plastic. So hard to say on that one, because you know what? That plastic's not going anywhere for millions of years. So let's do more cardboard in our cardboard-based industry. But yeah, so very split on many things having to do with the environment and also wanting a bunch of cool fandom stuff.
Yeah, that is the hard thing, I think, with like game components, and then like the eco element of it. I'm always like, oh, I love this game component. Oh, but I hate what this is made out of.
Right? But a baby bear had to die to put in this bear meeple? Ugh. And only babies?
And only babies.
Just baby bears.
Just the babies, guys.
I'm so sad now.
I'm sorry, Desiree.
It's okay. Okay, so what was the most surprising game, good or bad, that you played on Game the Game?
Oh God, what did we play on Game the Game? This is the most surprising game that we played on Game the Game. I'm not pulling up a playlist. You are.
I was just saying, this is like someone that did their research.
Yeah.
Very specific question.
Yeah, I think that I'm always surprised by party games because as a serious gamer, I always think like, oh, well, my guests will have fun, but this game is below my strategy grade. But like when you find a game that can make everybody laugh, it doesn't matter how simple it is. Like those are the best. I can't remember what it's called, but we played this one that was like dynamite sticks, and I kind of had the impression of like it's a very simple game because you were like betting on one of three things. And then I had the best time ever playing it. It's also who you play with. Yeah, we played a lot of really great stuff on there. And hard to say more than that. I can't give you specific names.
Well, I'm sure you've
That's good,
played
though.
many games, so I don't blame you for forgetting.
I mean, there's the ones that you know are gonna be good, and then there's ones that's like, oh, what was that one called? That did surprise me. Yeah.
The one with the dynamite sticks. I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up now. So another question, I believe for Game the Game, how many crew and what was a typical prep time for an episode? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. I mean, we were playing up to January 2020. So we had, let's see, me, the guests, of course, the director Jake, if we're talking about the how to game, or how to play, because we would do like a how to play video and then go right into playing the game. And so me, my writer director Jake, who's now my business partner, we had a DP who was adjusting all 5 cameras, and a technical director who was switching between them because we did a live cut of it. The editors would tweak it afterwards, but so then there was like 2 editors that worked on it, and then someone to handle the lighting, the gaffer, and then someone running teleprompter for the tutorial portion. So 8 plus a producer is 9. And then some other producery people would always help out. So yeah, 9-ish plus 3 cast.
Awesome.
But it was very nice to have a crew because now it's it's just the players, camera guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have that luxury for as long as I did.
Awesome.
And we might continue to do them at some point. There was a
Yeah,
lot of transition at Legendary Digital. They were giving up their studio space to like transition to a different studio space right when the pandemic hit. And so that's why there hasn't been much that wasn't filmed in my house.
All right, so let's see. Any advice for a newborn board game designing company? I don't know if you have any advice for them.
I mean, I'm not a designer, but I am a consumer. And so I'm sure that, Amanda, you have advice as well, but start small with your first game. Because I've seen some games that I was disappointed by because they were overly ambitious, because they were someone's like lifetime passion project. Do that project, but don't do that project first. Do a smaller project that's like, okay, well, I have my favorite idea in the world that's an expansive fantasy world that I've been writing everything about. Don't let that be the first thing you publish, because your first thing you publish is never going to be the best thing you publish. So maybe work on something smaller so that you know all the elements that go into getting it published first.
Yeah, that is great advice. I would go along with that and almost just say, like, even if you can like pick a thing that you really love about a grandiose maybe idea that you have and really do that element really well, then you can always build on that. Like a lot of the game series that I've loved have been one designer like focusing on a mechanic with multiple games until it grows into something beautiful. And also a lot of the games along the way I've loved. So, hey, you might make something simpler and it might actually end up being your best thing. Who knows? So yeah, don't be afraid of that.
Totally.
Awesome advice. All right. So
I'm thinking of John D. Clare in particular when you talk about a mechanic, because
Yeah.
John D. Clare made Mystic Veil, which had this unique mechanic of transparent cards that
Yeah.
go into sleeves, and you
Yeah.
add more things into that card sleeve. And Mystic Veil was fun, but he made that mechanic again with Edge of Darkness, and I thought Edge of Darkness was one, even though knowing John D. Clare is an excellent designer, Edge of Darkness surprised me by how much fun it was. It seemed like it would be a longer game than it was, and it's worker placement and there's dice rolling, and there's deck building, and it was very complex and yet easy to grasp and over before you thought it should be over, which I think is always, leave them wanting more on stage and in board games. Um, And so that's an example of that, of your advice in action. Also, I saw Bauer said, I was most surprised on Game the Game from the Networks. The Networks is a game where you're all playing TV producers, and I love this game. We play it constantly. On my little ski trip we just did, we played the Networks and just love that game.
Oh, Networks is pretty fun, actually. Yeah.
Is it Ferret Games?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. We have a question over from Facebook. So I'll read their whole comment because it's very nice. But hi, I just got into tabletop gaming again last year with my 9-year-old son, and our favorite Renegade game is Power Rangers. Thank you, Becca, for the awesome tutorial on YouTube. And Warp's Edge. I wanted to ask, what is your favorite game for Renegade games?
Oh gosh, the Paladins of the West Kingdom and the whole series within that artwork of the work, I just love worker placement. So that those are the jam for me. But I also really liked Terror Below. It had a lot of different components that surprised me. Like it reminded me of the early 90s movie Graboids. What was it called?
Tremors?
Tremors.
Yeah. Why am I
Yes.
thinking
I was like,
worms?
okay, this will be fun and kitschy, but the strategy was pretty deep. I like games that are competitive with a cooperative element. I think you kind of get best of both worlds there. I'm not particularly a cooperative game person, although I'm very glad that you liked the tutorial we did for Power Rangers, because we did have a lot of fun filming the game for that, because we had people who had been on various Power Rangers TV shows as guests, and they were so much fun, and we had a lot of fun playing. But yeah, and Warp's Edge is one that I just heard about this morning, and I really need to play because I was looking up Scott Alm's other games.
Oh yeah, Scott Alm's is like one of the best, one of my favorites. I had to
epic and prolific.
I know, right? I've loved every Scott Alms game that I've played of his, and when we had him on the show, I had to rein in my fangirl, and I'm sure Desiree can attest. I feel like I did a terrible job at it, but yeah, I love Scott Alms. He's amazing.
So talented. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to meet him, but I look forward to it.
He's lovely. You'll love him when you meet him. Can attest.
I think you did fine reining it in.
Thank you, Desiree. I tried.
Let's see. The last question I see, I don't know if you saw it there, Becca, but has Oshi received his daily allotment of treats today?
No, he got some scrambled eggs this morning because, I felt like being fancy for breakfast, but he needs to get some treats right now. So I got my work cut out. That is one good boy.
Awesome. Well, it looks like that's all the questions for chat. So,
all right.
We were so punctual.
I know. Look at this. We're doing so well. Wow. All right. Look at this. We're on time, and we are going to wrap this up. But before we do, Becca, could you just remind us who you are, what you do, where we can find you and your work online so we can go and subscribe to all the things at Good Time Society, everyone. Go check it out.
Yes, thank you so much. Good Time Society on all the platforms. That's our YouTube channel as well, where you can find videos. We're on Twitch, and then I'm also on many things at the Becca Scott. If you just want to see me maybe rant about politics a little bit on Twitter, and post lots of selfies on Instagram, and then I stream Magic the Gathering just on my own personal channel, the Becca Scott.
Nice. I love it. And thank you so much for joining us, Becca, by the way. It was so lovely chatting with you.
Amanda, I've been watching your videos ever since you started doing Renegade stuff, and I love them, and I've just been waiting to meet you, so I'm really so happy that we had this opportunity.
Well, here we are. Yes, thank you so much for being here. And before we head out, I got a few more announcements for everybody. So just to recap some of these things, we do have the Snallygaster situation available for pre-order. We also have the updated World's Fair 1893, now including diverse and playable influential figures from history. Say what? That is available as an Amazon exclusive. Check that out. And of course, we have the Gravwell second edition, which, like I said, is even better than the first edition. Just trust me. We've got some really awesome new art coming your way. We've got more higher player count, and you've also got unique powers for your ships, and that's available for pre-order now. And our Twitch schedule, we are doing more Phenomenal Mondays. Check out when we do those. Those are a little more intermittent, but we also have Vampire Wednesdays happening every Wednesday. And of course, the Renegade Society radio show over here on Friday. Come check us out and chill with us. And one more time, the giveaway word for that copy of Gloomy Graves is versatile. So make sure you enter that in the link that Desiree puts in chat. Also, thank you, Desiree, for being here and producing. You all can't see Desiree, but Desiree is amazing. You all hear her voice, the voice of like the gods. So yes, thank you for being here. And all right.
Desiree.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much, Becca. And thank you everybody for watching. And that's all from me, friends. Remember to play your game.
Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.